conditioned to believe that. I believe that's a problem that began on the slave master's plantation. He's always tried to tell us that we are stronger divided, supporting their agenda, working against our own causes. So you see infighting in our communities. You see us not supporting our own businesses. You see us not supporting our own missions in life. That is slave mentality, and this is yet another form of that. I'm not here to tell you all that voting.
What are the other times where we have come together? And I just go back to those ideas of Garveyism. I go to Black Wall Street. I go back to New Africa, the Republic of New Africa. Like, these were ideas we were saying, no, y'all do that over there. We gonna go start, we wanted to turn the whole South into a place called New Africa. You know what I'm saying? And that, like, that to me, that idea, or even, you know, I don't want to be like, oh, let's all go back to Africa, but it goes back to that statement that you talk about, where it's like, we always measure our success based off of it, like it started at slavery. So yeah, everything looks better. Like, but if we go beyond, like, we're much more than America, and it goes back to that stage. Like, America is just an ATM. Every other culture come here to get their bag, and then go and teach and educate and build their own. But we want to get in here and figure out how to get it done. No, let's get this bag, because that's what Trump about. That's what everybody's about, this individualism, this ideology of, like, I can succeed and I don't care about everybody else. That's that elitist mentality. The elite is the elite class, the ruling class, and then we just gonna march to their beat the whole time when we have more power as a community and a culture to do that. That's all I'm saying.
Could we use Black agenda? I'm thinking about it. Seattle's a great example. Washington, D.C., Atlanta. Atlanta, black wealth, first public housing in the country, also the first to tear it down. A black-run city where there is some of the greatest income and wage inequality. And we can't blame that on white people. We blame that on black politicians who aren't strong enough to face the corporate parties, right? D.C., they just passed a minimum wage for people who wait tables in this town. It was overturned by the D.C. City Council, including black representatives. Why? Because they can't stand up to the restaurant lobby. Right. In Seattle, beautiful city. Hey, Jimi Hendrix, you know, last time I was out there, said, take me to the Hendrix Museum. I got, you know, these are my people. At the same time, extreme inequality, income inequality. Now, my question.
Our system is whack and corrupt, and I do not personally believe that voting will change a system that was intended for us to not succeed. My issue with that idea is that if we were to get all of the black politicians that have all of our agendas at heart, and they believe everything that we believe, and they do everything we want, we still live in a government system that will still assassinate people like this if they get into positions of power. So my issue with that is that even if you get to the position of, okay, we can make change, if you still live in a system that is going to kill you for trying to make change, that is where things become problematic and become complex. So my two questions are, the first question I have is, do you believe there's an either or approach of it's either throw over the system or get into the system? Because I believe it's a combination of both. I do believe you have to get into the system to overthrow the system, but I do not believe the system can continue, because if America continues, it's never going to benefit black people, queer people, women, anybody.
Agreed.
But I would like to know your thoughts. And the second question is, when we get black politicians into positions of power, which we will continue to do because that's the only option that we have as of the American system we live in right now, how do we hold those politicians accountable to the things that they say during the elections? Because a lot of times politicians will come in, like you were saying, 2 weeks before the elections, and they go into poor communities and black communities and immigrant communities and are like, we love you, we're going to support you, and then they get into the office and they don't do anything, and they don't go back to the hood while they're in office, and they don't support anybody who's any position of oppression. And we all have privilege in some sense, but how do we hold those politicians accountable to the things that they said they were going to do? Because we voted them in, we gave them their money, but when they're there for the term that we voted them in. How do we hold them accountable?
Yeah,